gathering some info, what they needed, what they had at the moment. They had 7 Drupal sites. And you can imagine that managing 7 sites within one organization is already a task. And for the end user, it was a big hassle where to find the information. So Exo Design came up with a solution to reduce the number of sites to 4. That was already a big step for more end user friendly service. And then of course they made a whole design updated the looks of Haaga to present. From a technical point of view then, what did we do? Well, yeah, we decided to take up a multi-site network. And then we created a couple of custom post types, edited the regular page post type a little, and then of course implemented the design. And there's where you can see a couple of post types. Basically Haaga needs, they have, for example, lunches, and then because Haaga is a school, they also have exams. A couple of examples what kind of custom data they need to input. And yeah, about those. For example, a lunch. If you guys are developers, then you might choose just a normal text field for a lunch post type. For example, you could have the strings in your hands, and you could customize every lunch post like you wanted to. But in case of Haaga, there will be at least 2 or 3 chefs inputting the weekly lunches. So the possibility of error would be rather big. They would end up with very different kind of layouts weekly if each chef had their right to choose this week's menu's layout and build it on their own. Of course, it would also take a lot of time. So instead of giving them just a text field, we decided that let's give them ready fields, just simple form fields. And for this, a top tip, if you haven't come across yet, there's a plugin called CMB2. That's why I talked about this lunch post type. CMB2, basically custom meta boxes version 2, gives you an opportunity to easily create more fields, either on the admin side, or you could also use it on the front end side as well. But if you haven't, please check it out if you ever need to customize some post type, or if you, it kind of for simple plugins is a great tool. You can create your own plugins easily with it in just, let's say, if not hours, but days maybe already. Saves your clients money in the end. Yeah. Okay. And then the multi-site. There's where you can see it. On a regular site, you wouldn't have these all 4. Basically, under one administration panel, you get all 4 sites: Haaga Perho, Restaurant Perho, Haaga Group, and Restaurant School Perho. Okay, more about those a bit later. Well then, how did we perform? Because of selecting WordPress, because of selecting WordPress Multisite, because of working in this case on a ready theme that we customize for our client, we managed to deliver under budget, ahead of schedule, and process code delivered. So I was really happy to be working with Haaga and Exole on this case. It was, things ran smoothly and client was happy in the end. Yeah, about those. Last time we talked about, I can't remember his name unfortunately. Last time the WordPress Café was about custom built solutions. This time, as I mentioned, we used a ready-made theme which we then customized. Of course, it comes with its limitations. You have to live with the ready-made themes limitations, and then you have to live with its documentation and so on. Well, on the other hand, as I mentioned, it was one reason that we were ahead of schedule, because it gave us pretty many building blocks already, fancy blocks and fancy functionality that just needed to be adjusted and modified to the new design. And yeah, so last time the speaker wanted to emphasize the possibilities of customizing and custom theming. I guess I'd like to emphasize the possibility of customizing, and especially customizing a parent theme and creating your own child theme, because it can save your time and then the money. Okay. Then to the main topic of this day. What is a multisite? Quoting Codex, a multisite network is a collection of sites that all share the same WordPress installation. Well, in other words, you could, if you have used WordPress.com, you could build your own WordPress.com now and start hosting hundreds of sites for yourself, for your clients. Yeah, pretty awesome, I think. And how to? Not really hard, really. Not that hard, really. First, I'd suggest read about it. Codex has a great tutorial about it. Download and install your WordPress like you usually do. I suppose we all do that for our hobbies. And then modify the configuration slightly. The Codex will guide you through that. And then you can already switch to the administration panel, and it'll guide you through the rest of the steps. In 4 steps, 5 steps, you'll get it running. You'll get it running on your local in half an hour or something like that on a development, or let's say on production server. It'll take a little more time, but on your own you'll get it in half an hour or less. And there you go. Please try it out. It's worth it, I think. What is good for then? Yeah, create a network like WordPress.com. For example, well, you can do it just for yourself, or if you are a company, you could create it for your employees. They all could have their own blog, not just be authors of one single blog. And firing up new blogs is just a few clicks away, depending on the structure, whether you have choose to use subdomains or subdirectories. But we'll talk about that in next slides. Okay. I also heard or read that some use WordPress Multisite to administer their all clients' sites. I'm not sure if I'd do that myself, but it's possible. They say, yeah, gives you ease in updating plugins. I guess that's their reason for doing this. All right. Well then, if it was a happy project, I guess it's also good to still check what we learned. And a couple things, especially about the multi-site, a couple hiccups I encountered on my local or so on. One thing is that, okay, let's say you have a multi-site setup. Basically it means you have multiple sites and then multiple blogs, let's say. And you can choose to have your blogs in different subdomains, like myblog.example.com and then myblog2.example.com, or you could have them arranged so that you have example.com and then you have another blog in example.com / my second blog. Basically, the first one was subdomains, the latter was subfolders. Okay, and here's a thing to know if you're gonna implement a production environment and first implement the subdirectory version. You'll have 1 month, according to the WordPress documentation, to swap from the subdirectory to subdomain. But according to my experience, it's not really 1 month, but you have to do it during the installation month of the WordPress. So basically, if we are now, it's 8th of March, so we have 20 days out. We have 22 days left to swap from subdirectories to subdomains. Has to do with the URL structure of WordPress, but that's just a thing to know if you need to swap. It would have saved me a day of hassle, let's say. Okay. Well, just an oddity, I think. While the usernames normally allow the dot, like your user.name, they'll still work when you change from a regular WordPress installation to a multi-site installation. You can do this swap whenever you want to. You don't have to do it during the first month. After a month, you just have one option left how the setup will work, but you can do it later. Okay. Another thing, if you want to change from subdomains, like myawesomeblog.example.com to myawesomeblog.com, then that's something WordPress can't handle itself. Then it needs a plugin. Luckily, there are already at least 2 of those, and that's how we arrange our things as well. We have those four sites for Haaga, each using their own or having their own domain. Okay, and also when you plan to move it from your development server to a production server, that will be a bit more hassle than, or it'll be not hassle but more work, let's say. It'll take you more time. It's more complex. So prepare for that, just. And I was lucky to have Ilari from Exove. Well, when it comes to moving and managing, administrating sites, he handled the site move from Exove's development server to production. Noitex production maybe. Was.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in short, that was what I had to say today. Multisite's not a hassle. Yeah, sure. What do you guys think? Could I answer some questions, or could I still show you a simple multi-site installation?
Well, question about the admin interface that you showed on the second slide. You had one thing that had FI in brackets. Does that mean that it was meant just for the Finnish? I'm assuming you guys have language versions for this. I think it's still one further back.
Further back?
Yeah, this one, like
Yeah,
at the
sure.
bottom there, and Folkberg FI.
Oh, yeah.
Is that for language versions or?
The Haaga needed the sites to be multilingual, so we're using WordPress Multilingual plugin.
Okay.
And the theme, you can basically modify the theme per language, so that's why, yeah, it tells you about the language version. Yeah. But to encourage you guys to use WordPress Multisite, I'd first like to show the sites. Okay, here's one. Ravintola called Restaurant School. The second, Restaurant Perho. Haaga Perho. And then Haaga Group. Okay. Some things to show: the custom post types, the exams, and then the lunch list. So basically, of course, we could do this manually on a text field, but do it in a hurry. I guess it's easier to enter just simple text fields. Okay. As you might already notice that the sites, they look pretty much the same. That's the advantage of multi-sites. Only difference that Haaga Group has different color scheme, but the layout is the same. Now I'm not going to show you the admin panel of the production site, but I have a simple test installation on my local, and here's the first site, and the second is here. Okay, what I can do here, I can switch between sites from dashboard to another and administer it just like a regular WordPress site. Right now I'm a network administrator, so I also get to administer the network admin panels. Okay, but before going there, let's check the plugins. Normally you would be able to install new plugins via the blogs plugins page, but not here. And this is kind of I think the cool thing about or one of the cool things. Your client can't install what they want. You as an administrator will be in charge of that. They can only activate some, or then you have decided to activate some for them already. Okay. And another thing, when there's an update, when there's a security update for WordPress, or when there's an update on some plugin, your clients don't need to do anything. hopefully they never do. I wish to do it on myself. And with Multisite, you can update everything in one single place. I guess this is when I mentioned to you that some use this Multisite installation to administer their all clients' sites. I guess this is why. Because now you can update all the sites. Let's say you had already tens or hundreds of clients. With one single click, they would have, in this case, all in one cell pack updated. Now there's a possibility of a slight risk since I haven't checked it, but let's try. If it runs, then yeah, great. Now I have now all my sites, all my client sites are updated, and things run smoothly again all over the network. And the same thing for themes. Basically, that's where we save time as well. With one single click, I can manage all 4 themes and update all 4 themes, which again saves time in development and saves time in future when in maintenance. So yeah, there were a couple of tips about Multisite. What do you think? More questions? Something? Anyone?
Anything that went or was more complex than you thought?
More complex. Since we used plugins and theme that was already built, there were minor hiccups with a couple of plugins. They didn't work off the shelf as intended. So in those cases, pretty much then some version of plugin just for some odd reason didn't work. One good example, this wasn't really related to the Multisite installation. It has to do with the plugin more. For example, Yoast SEO plugin. Don't know why, but a couple of latest versions haven't run as smoothly as it has previously. That's why, for example, in my example case, I'm using all-in-one SEO pack, and that's used as well in the Haaga sites at the moment. What else? Well, good you asked, because we had one question came in before the presentation, and it was one thing I would change about WordPress if I could. Maybe I'm not in position that I could say what to change about WordPress, but let's say if I get to wish, I would like better documentation on themes. And lately I've been working with a couple of ready-made themes. This was one case, then on my free time and on other client projects as well. And some are missing a good documentation like we've used it with any framework or something like that. But instead some have just a form which is basically question and answer based. So that's something. The finding information, finding how a theme works, that can be a pain in the ass if you work with something ready-made and don't build from scratch on your own. Yeah.
Hey, what about it? What about the performance of the site? Like this, you have this multi-sites there. So how is the performance affected with this one? Performance of the website, like speed, the rendering speed, or does it affect it?
Well, I can't say in this case, the usage, well, sites they are, well, if I say we have, let's say, under 100 pages total at the moment across all the 4 sites, so the database is rather light, and the traffic, it's though it's a known restaurant in Helsinki and the most well-known restaurant school in Finland, still the traffic is light enough that we haven't encountered performance problems.
Okay.
Luckily,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, that's good.
We have, to continue that one, we have for other clients that I can't disclose yet, we have done a multi-site installation that had varnish in front of it to act as the cache layer. And for that we had to write some custom code to get the recent blog articles and comments, because they might come. There was 1 hour storage time in the card cache, so we made like 20 plus lines of PHP code that gets the, maybe that 50 lines of code that gets the recent comments and recent blog posts from the database directly per the multi-site, so it figures out what's multi-site, and then it's called through Ajax. And we decided not to use WordPress for that, because then the bootstrap of WordPress would make it pointless to have it. So unfortunately, the WordPress database structure seems to be quite static. So I guess that it should be able to sustain the WordPress upgrades quite foreseeable future.
Okay.
But it was one of the cases where you had to figure out, it's not really multi-site per se, but you had to figure out how to add the performance while keeping the functionality intact, and then we had to go around WordPress completely. So that would be the next choice. And if you can't cache certain things, or if the caching creates these kind of things that the new content is not there, or you need to remove every single page of the cache if you add something, then doing this kind of Ajax stuff would help. But then you need to go around WordPress. The Ajax stuff is cached only 1 minute or so there's a difference on that one. But it's still cached. So I had the pleasure of writing that 50 lines of code. So it's not a hard thing to do, except that you need to understand that multi-sites go so that the first multi-site doesn't have a number in the database, and then it creates a new database table for each multi-site. So then you need to do some SQL juggling on the PHP script to get it right, because the next ones have numbers but the first one doesn't.
Okay.
So not the easy, I would say not the cleanest solution what WordPress has done with the multi-sites, but seems to work. And if you need to go beyond under the hood, then you need to expect a bit more logic there, that there are some if-else stuff that is needed to cover the multi-sites.
Okay.
If no more questions, then thank you, Johannes.